Good morning. So today we're going to talk about electrolysis because I built an electrolysis tank for cleaning cast iron. My wife has started getting into this cast iron thing and has been collecting pans. We have a lot of them now. Man, it's crazy. So initially I made an electrolysis tank just by, taking a plastic Rubbermaid tote, probably held 20 gallons, dropped a piece of junk metal in there, and that was it. And it took 4 or 5 days for it to do its job, and that's one pan at a time. But was kind of forced to rethink this electrolysis approach, because one pan at a time, when there's 20 sitting there waiting to be put in the tank, it's just going to take like all summer. So now I have a bunch of just raw iron that I keep here, 2-inch square channel angle iron. I got, flat straps, all this like 20-foot sections. I cut them down in 10-foot sections just to make storing them easier. So I actually have plenty of steel to make a tank. I'm going to show you the tank and show you it in action. I've already used this new tank once, but I think that it might be worth just talking about electrolysis a little bit, because I know that there are a lot of people out there. I've discovered, I didn't know this before, but I have learned, and I really learned it when I went to go pick up a pan that she found off of Marketplace because she couldn't get there. Man, I mean, these cast iron collecting women are vicious. But I got my pan. But man, I tell you, there's a whole bunch of cast iron collection going on, and I think it's cool. The pans that we have were my dad's, and before that they were my grandmother's, and we use them. They still live on, and I just think it's cool. I hope people that are collecting cast iron are actually using them. That they should be used. I just think that's cool. But anyway, so I guess the first thing is, what is electrolysis? Well, I'm not a chemist. I'm sure I don't look like a chemist, and so if you figured that out, you're correct. So I went to Google because they give the best description of electrolysis, and it says that it's the process by which electric current is passed through a substance to effect a chemical change. And that chemical change basically, I think, it's passing through the substance, right? It's what you put in the tank. Now, a tank in a laboratory is probably going to use distilled water, I assume, but there may be all kinds of different solutions. I don't really know. But for this home tank cast iron cleaning thing, you're just going to end up using tap water, and you're going to add something to it. Well, when the electrons pass through this substance, they either give up or gain electrons based on whether the positive terminal or the negative terminal is where they're at. So it's really important that you don't get this part wrong, and that is that the positive terminal needs to be attached to your scrap metal that you have inside your tank, and the negative terminal is what's feeding the pan. And the reason why is because the positive terminal, whatever's energized by the positive terminal, is giving up electrons, and basically it's oxidizing. So you're inducing rust, you're breaking it down, it's transforming it into junk. Just think shipwreck on the bottom of the ocean. All right, and I'll show it to you right now because I already did a run. This is my 65-gallon tote. I welded up framework here to drop inside the tote, and you can see that looks like it's pretty ugly. So you're not gonna want your pan to look like that. So this gets the positive terminal, and your pans get the negative. So the pans won't oxidize. The solution is gaining an electron, which is basically, I think the way I would characterize it is, it's just reducing the material. Probably actually is reducing the pan, but it's not noticeable. So, well, it's not noticeable as far as the pan goes, but it's noticeable in what it does to the pan. All the gunk just sloughs off. You might still need to do a little scrubbing or something afterwards, but the bulk of your trash is going to fall off in the tank. So I'm going to get this tank set up, and I've got some pans here to put in it, and we'll put it to work. All right, so our tank's full of water. First, we're going to have to put something in it, right? So what I was using was this Arm & Hammer laundry soap. I think it was sodium bicarbonate or something like that. Okay, so like, again, I know I look like a chemist, but I'm not. I went to Google and kind of did some research to figure out what is the best thing to use. You can use baking soda, but from what I gathered, like, it doesn't, after it's been in the tank for a while, it loses its ability to really, I guess, promote electrolysis or electron flow or whatever. It's great in the beginning, but it breaks down. So this laundry soap seemed to be what most people were using, and I did use it, but then I saw where a chemist was talking about that the best thing to actually use would be something that you wouldn't be wise to use, and that was a drain cleaner. And then he said, however, you can use borax because through the electrolytic processes it breaks down, it converts to whatever the chemical was that is in drain cleaner, and it's safe to use. So I don't know, I'm using borax this time. This will be the first time I've used it. So we're gonna go dump it in the tank. So there's the tank, all full of water. You can see, you know, it's plastic, so the weight of the water is pushing it out. But when I built it, it was flush with the plates. Now, you can use just scrap metal, lawnmower blades, something like that. It needs to be iron, would be the best way to go. You know, yeah, I dumped the whole box in there. Yeah, I saw something somewhere where somebody was saying, you know, use 1 cup per 5 gallons or something like that. 65 gallons. I just dumped the whole box. I'm not measuring crap. And I buy them, you know, like 4 or 5 boxes at a time on Amazon. Now the water's nice and clean right now, but once things get going, it will not be. So what I do is I put this on my drill and I just kind of stir it up. I'm going to do that now. So you gotta have power from something. Now, a low grade safe form of power is going to come from a power supply. You know, you read forums or whatever, they're going to say like a DC 12 volt charger, but the problem is chargers today are smart and they're microprocessor controlled, so they don't typically give you any power until they've done a little check. You know, so when you clip it on the battery, it does a resistance check, it tries to do a voltage check, it sees what's going on, and then it'll give you power if it's happy. You're going to take one of these new chargers and clip it on here, and you're going to get nothing. And if you have one of the old chargers, which I don't have, but one of the old ones with the little needle and it's just got a switch there, I want to, you know, if it's an old one, it'll give you power. But you can buy a power supply, and that's what this is. Now this is a 10 amp power supply, and it'll go up to 30 volts. It's this is all DC. I'm just trying not to make sure I cover all the bases here. So this is a DC power supply, and you can adjust the voltage and adjust the current, and so now this over here is an old 50 to 100 amp charger from like the 50s, and I was using it because there's no shortage of horsepower with that thing, but it is dangerous. Like, you don't want to become part of the circuit with this thing. And the other thing is, it seemed to work great, but I had one or two pans come out and they were a little, I don't know, scorched. I don't know, a little flaky, a little something, I don't know. And I think it might have been due to that, all that current from that charger. So I'm just going to try to keep it at low power and just let these things sit in here for a while. So we're getting ready to put this together. So here is a piece of iron here, and it's sitting on top. It's touching plastic. Plastic isn't conductive, so no problem. Our pans are going to hang from here off of these little chains, and when I put all this together, I supplied power to it, and I got a meter. I stuck it to the chain. I checked it all out. We got current flow everywhere. So our positive lead will connect to our frame that's in the water, and then the negative will connect to where our pans are going to be hanging. And then we're going to hang our pans in there. So here are the pans that I'm going to put in there today, and this is what they look like right now. This one's a little rusty, but you know, it's got some gunk there. And then we have this little one. It's a Wagner. And then we have this one. See how there, what's this one? Probably a Wagner. I don't know. Can't read it. It's a Wagner. And this is also a Wagner. This little, I don't know why it looks so like gray. It's not aluminum. But I don't know, this one's weird. But anyway, all these are going to go in the tank right now. Pans are hanging. You don't ever want them touching the edge here. That would just be like touching the positive and negative leads together. This one, I just stretched it out across there. I don't really like them touching each other. It really shouldn't matter, but it's just not what I prefer. So I'm going to turn this on. I don't know, we might be able to see it start bubbling. So let's see here. Yeah. Alright, battery died. Of course. Now, if you can see that pan, I'm not going to stick the camera in the water, but you can see it's kind of bubbling a little bit. This one's bubbling. This one is not bubbling. I don't know why. But anyway, it's in action now. Now, this particular charger or power supply you can get off Amazon. I'll put a link to the video. Yeah, I got it turned up. That's as high as it'll go, 10.2. You can turn the voltage up if you want. But it'll only give you what it can give. We're at 14 volts, 10 amps. Yeah, this one's starting to see it. So they're all electrolysing. Electrolysis in like that. So I'll show you though. Let me set up this other one. I'm only setting this up just so you can see it. I'm not going to use it, but here is the 100 amp setup. I'm going to turn it on. Interesting. I did that the other day and the water just started boiling. But you know what? I did it with the Arm & Hammer laundry soap. That's the only thing I can think of that's different. Anyway, that was weird. Not what I was expecting whenever I plugged it in, because the way it acted the other day. But we're going back to the other power supply. I just feel like it's tamer, less likely to cause, you know, any weird hot spots or anything like that. I'm going to turn it up to 15 though. And we'll just let these stay in here for a while. Yeah, the other day and I don't know that that's why, but with the laundry soap that was Arm & Hammer, as soon as I plugged that in, the water went from clear like this. It was like there was a jet in there blowing that stuff, and it just turned into foam and just bubbled up, and man, it was real aggressive. And at the time I thought, ah, that's awesome, it's really working. But then after some of the pans came out with weird little, almost like burn spots on them, I thought this may be too much. I don't want to ruin the pan, so I'm just going to go backwards here. Go to something a little more tame, and because it's working, you know, you can see it coming off. It's just going to take a while. Now, obviously, you know, all of that electricity, all of that current, all of that activity is having to spread across what I have, like 6 or 7 pans in there. So, you know, they're all sharing the load. If you wanted to really, you know, maximize your effort here, you would just do like 1 or 2 pans. So with that 12 volt power supply, well, it's 38 volt, but I'm not using this 30 volt. So with the smaller power supply, I don't know, it may not do very well on all of those pans. We'll just let it run for a few days if we have to, see how it comes out. So we'll come back. I'll include the aftermath in this video, and we'll see how it looks at the end of the day. Right now it's 10:30 in the morning, so 3 o'clock this afternoon we'll come back and look at them. Well, it's 3 o'clock now. We're gonna pull one of these pans out, just see what it looks like after 5 hours of being in the tank. Now, it ain't gonna be anywhere near ready to come out, I don't believe, but let's just have a look out of curiosity. I already turned power supply off. Let's see here. Oh yeah, look. This one here. See all that starting to come off. Just after 5 hours. Get a different one out. Look at it. About, let's see here. Oh yeah. Whoop, shit. You gotta be kidding me. To the bottom of the damn tank. See that? It's all coming off. Leave it in here overnight. Get it out tomorrow. Now just remember, if you do this stuff, don't ever leave that thing on. Go sticking your hands in here. Now you can put your hand in there. I mean, honestly, I'm not dumb enough to know better. Not know better than that, but it's just not a good idea. Touch something else, it ain't gonna kill you. Now that one, whew, that one could hurt you, but this ain't gonna do nothing. Keep your kids away from it. All right. So I'm gonna wash my hands off, and then I'll get a pan that's been re-seasoned that looked like those looked when we first started.